October 4, 2025, the South China Sea is on edge. A Philippine Coast Guard vessel, BRP Gabriela Silang, attempts a routine resupply to a remote outpost. Suddenly, a line of Chinese Coast Guard ships blocks its path, horns blaring a clear warning, turn back. The Filipino captain stands his ground, relaying the tense situation to Manila. Chinese ships inch closer, water cannons ready. International news crews capture the standoff, and the world holds its breath. This is more than a territorial spat, it's a test of international law and a symbol of a rising superpower confronting a determined neighbor. The crew of the Gabriela Silang prepares for the worst, knowing a single misstep could spark a global crisis. Behind the Chinese ships, the shadow of the People's Liberation Army Navy looms. The Philippines, a U.S. treaty ally, faces the risk of drawing in global powers. The standoff drags on, a silent war of nerves under the tropical sun. Calls for restraint echo from Washington, Brussels, and Tokyo, but feel powerless at sea. For the Filipino crew, this is no abstract chess game, it's a terrifying reality. Their small ship stands as a symbol of national defiance. The world waits to see who will blink first. The tension is palpable, the stakes immense. In these waters, power speaks louder than words. The standoff is a reminder. Peace here is always fragile. Just as the world expected the usual diplomatic deadlock, a shockwave came from Pyongyang. North Korea's KCNA released a statement condemning China's actions in the South China Sea. It accused Beijing of bullying the Philippines and violating international norms. A public rebuke no one saw coming. North Korea, China's only formal military ally, was siding with the Philippines. The statement declared solidarity with the Filipino people in defending their sovereignty. Analysts and diplomats scrambled to verify the news, suspecting a mistake or a ruse. Manila was stunned. Their relationship with Pyongyang was minimal at best. Suddenly, Kim Jong-un's regime was championing their cause against China. The implications were staggering, a dependent state publicly challenging its patron. Pyongyang's message was clear. It was not just China's puppet. North Korea was asserting its own interests, no matter how shocking. The standoff at sea was now overshadowed by a diplomatic earthquake. Every major capital felt the tremors. The world's old playbooks were suddenly obsolete. A new, unpredictable chapter had begun. To grasp the shock of Pyongyang's move, we must revisit the China-North Korea alliance. Forged in the Korean War, their bond was described by Mao as close as lips and teeth. The 1961 Mutual Aid Treaty obligates each to defend the other, China's only formal defense pact. For decades, this alliance has been a pillar of regional security, ensuring North Korea's survival and giving China a strategic buffer. Economically, North Korea relies on China for over 90% of its trade: food, fuel, and goods. Beijing's leverage has always been seen as decisive. The assumption: Pyongyang would never risk angering its lifeline. China has shielded North Korea at the UN, prioritizing stability over confrontation. Public criticism from Pyongyang was once unthinkable. This statement strikes at the heart of their historic partnership. The lips and teeth relationship has never faced a public test like this. The world is left questioning what comes next. Despite their alliance, North Korea has always guarded its independence. Yusha, self-reliance, is more than a slogan, it's the regime's core. The Kim dynasty has resisted being a mere satellite, even when dependent on China or the USSR. North Korea's nuclear program is the clearest example, pursued despite China's strong opposition and UN sanctions. Kim Jong-un sees nuclear weapons as the ultimate guarantee of survival, defying Beijing's wishes. Pyongyang's provocations, missile tests, naval skirmishes often catch China off guard. These actions force Beijing into difficult diplomatic corners. North Korea's unpredictability is its leverage. China fears instability on its border. Even in diplomacy, Pyongyang has charted its own course, as seen in direct talks with the US. This latest statement on the Philippines is another chapter in North Korea's long tradition of defiance. Independence, even at great risk, is in its DNA. The Philippines and North Korea have always kept their distance. Diplomatic ties were established in 2000, but engagement has been minimal. No embassies, little trade, and Manila has consistently enforced UN sanctions against Pyongyang. Yet, Beneath official condemnations, there's been quiet humanitarian aid. Food sent through the World Food Program. The Philippines has maintained basic communication, avoiding total isolation. Occasionally, Manila has hosted back-channel talks, leveraging its ASEAN role. North Korean officials have attended regional forums in Manila, allowing rare diplomatic contact. This history makes Pyongyang's sudden support all the more surprising. There was no secret alliance, just careful distance. For Manila, North Korea's declaration is an unsolicited, complex dilemma. How do you respond when the world's most sanctioned regime becomes your loudest defender? Why would North Korea risk angering China to defend the Philippines? First, it's a bold assertion of sovereignty. Kim Jong-un signaling North Korea is no one's puppet. It's also a classic bargaining tactic. By creating problems for Beijing, Pyongyang seeks more leverage, aid, leniency, or respect. North Korea may want to diversify its foreign relations, reducing its dependence on China. Siding with the Philippines could be an overture to ASEAN, or even the US. It's a move to open new diplomatic doors and options. Domestically, standing up to China boosts Kim's image as a strong, independent leader. In North Korea, this narrative of defiance is powerful propaganda. The move is as much for Pyongyang's audience as for Beijing or Manila. It's a high-stakes gamble, but one Kim believes he can control. Is this a genuine split, or a coordinated act between Beijing and Pyongyang? Some speculate it's a good cop, bad cop routine. China lets North Korea play the disruptor, then steps in as mediator. This could confuse adversaries, test reactions, or destabilize alliances. If Manila warms to Pyongyang, it could sow distrust in Washington. Yet, the harshness of North Korea's statement suggests real risk, not theater. Publicly shaming China is a major embarrassment, unlikely to be staged. The simplest answer: North Korea is acting in its own interest. Kim Jong-un is showing he's a player, not a pawn. His unpredictability forces the world to pay attention. By inserting himself into the South China Sea dispute, Kim has changed the game. This episode is a stark reminder. Alliances are never permanent. Asia's geopolitical landscape is shifting, old certainties fading. The China-North Korea bloc is no longer monolithic. This will ripple across the region. Middle and smaller powers are asserting agency, not just following Washington or Beijing. North Korea's move, like the Philippines' defiance, signals a new willingness to chart independent paths. Other Southeast Asian nations with disputes against China are watching closely. North Korea's support, however symbolic, could embolden them or open new diplomatic channels. The US and its allies must now rethink strategies based on a united China-North Korea front. The shifting sands demand vigilance and adaptability. In Asia, what's true today may change tomorrow. The South China Sea standoff ended without violence, but the real shock came from Pyongyang's press release. In today's world, words and diplomatic signals can reshape strategy as much as warships. North Korea's defiance has changed the calculus for every nation in the region. For the Philippines, it's a strange new source of support. For China, a public embarrassment. For North Korea, a risky declaration of independence. Is this a fleeting tantrum or the start of a lasting fracture? The only certainty is uncertainty. Alliances shift, and a single statement can change the game. The next chapter is unwritten, and the world is watching. Stay tuned.